Hello, this is day 4. Uh, if you want to get caught up with the previous videos where I show the interior, the exterior of this 29-foot travel trailer, refer to day 1 and day 2. In the day 3 video, I kind of took a different turn by kind of what was the main motivations uh, and why a person will want to consider full-time RVing. Like, there's many nomadic lifestyles, but that is a lifestyle that is becoming popular and appealing to more people. I always want to offer a full or a very objective view of things, the good, the bad. And in the last video, I talked about how I really enjoyed, living in this 29-foot travel trailer. But I'm quite sure you're interested about knowing what the cons are. Because you've heard, oh, okay, that's good. And I never want to paint the picture in where everything is rosy and it's great and it's awesome, and that people are not going to encounter things that they may find to be inconvenient. I never want to be misleading. Okay. So far, I think the challenges I've been having, which is not significant, but a challenge nonetheless, is this slide out that I showed you in the first video. There is a discrepancy regarding the height clearance. Okay, so the rest of the apartment I can walk through comfortably without worrying about hitting my head, but in that area, the kind of dining room entertainment center where you see that slide out, the ceiling is lower, and I have to obviously be conscious of that. So that's I will say a small inconvenience, something that I will have to adjust to obviously. And also, the travel trailer has kind of imitation wood floors, and which is not an issue. But one thing I noticed is that it's kind of slightly bumpy and it's uneven. It's not it's not a huge inconvenience. It's just things that I have noticed. So that's something that's worth pointing out. And another thing is that it appears that this travel trailer either has little to no insulation. Fortunately, it does have heat, but I recognize that even I have to really turn the heat up to kind of offset the draft. Because if I put the heat on, I don't know, let's say, at least for me, I know everyone's different depending on your body temperature and what you're used to, what you're comfortable with regarding the interior climate. But I know when I have it on 70, it's not quite comfortable. When I put it on 75, I'm comfortable. But typically, in other places I've stayed at, in apartments and even my own house, 70 degrees is quite comfortable. But here, I put it on 75 because there's a draft, and or perhaps it's just not very well insulated. But there are a few parts of this trailer where you can notice a bit of a draft, and so I think that's probably, if anything, probably the most significant, probably the biggest con. Going on the road, typically you will have to constantly get propane to be able to keep your apartment heated. And that could be an issue, obviously, if you're going to be, if your trailer is not well insulated, then you have to you have to use more energy to keep the trailer warm, which is going to ultimately result in a larger expense. So that's something that I'm conscious of, and it's good to know going forward. I've never lived this type of lifestyle before. This is completely new to me. Prior to this, I was living in multiple countries via Airbnb. In Mexico, Spain, Ecuador, England. So this is a bit new. The toilet, people ask, well, okay, with something like this, how do you go to the bathroom? I showed you the bathroom. Has a toilet, works well, has a shower, works well, and essentially it's like a porta potty in a way. And obviously, you use the porta potty. It's this huge reservoir tank, and once you use it enough, eventually you have to go to a dump station to dump it. And this toilet and this trailer is no different. People also ask, well, okay, so the toilet issue is taken care of. You have the shower issues taken care of. How do you get Wi-Fi? And that's a very common question. Well, let me see if I can pull this. I have a hotspot, okay, and I pay, I pay per month to keep a hotspot, and I don't have like unlimited. It's not the fastest speed. I think at best it's like DSL. It's like it goes up to 3 megabytes, which is fine for most things. There are some days in where it's not the fastest, but nonetheless it's DSL. Typically DSL is anywhere between 800 kilobytes to 3. So well within the DSL range. So that's how I get Wi-Fi, and pretty much in most places, if you have Verizon, it's quite adequate. One question, I'll actually go on further, because a lot of places that you want to camp, a lot of places where you can camp for free, Wi-Fi could be an issue. Like there's things like BLM land or National Forest land or these other types of places, and or let's say you have a state parks pass, and where you can camp free, typically 14 days at a time. Those places may be more challenging regarding securing a Wi-Fi signal. Even though you may pay for a hotspot service, depending on how remote you are, it may be difficult. However, you can get things like boosters, which can increase the signal. It basically is it's basically like in a way a satellite. In a way, it's kind of a satellite signal. So it's more sensitive to attracting the signal. So many people who live, or many people who are staying out in these remote public lands, a booster tends to do the job. There are crowdsourced directories that people share their experiences, and where they may say they had good Wi-Fi, or Wi-Fi, getting a Wi-Fi signal was challenging. There's types of crowdsourced directories in where you can and where you can read online and helps you determine whether, if certain areas are a place you want to camp for 2 weeks. So you also have things in where people they do something called stealth camping, and where like they'll camp like in cities, like maybe like Portland, or maybe like Austin or Memphis or Philly, and they're very strategic about it, where they find places and where they kind of blend in. Now, if you have a van, you can blend in, among other vehicles. Like, let's say a Walmart parking lot, or let's say if you're parked on the side of a city park. But you can't do that with an RV or a travel trailer. It kind of gives you away. So people who camp in like the whole minivans or the whole conversion vans, yeah, a lot of people are very successful in pulling that off. But with these, the larger the vehicle you have, especially when you have a recreation vehicle, it is an automatic giveaway. So, specifically for me, that's not something I'm really interested in. I intend to connect with nature and be among more solitude by being out there in the public lands, national forests, the state parks, the BLM land. But everyone is different, So typically how people with RVs or travel trailers, how it will work for them at least, is they will go and fill up. They would get their supplies, their food, their necessities. They'll go into town, and then as they arrive to the national forest, they'll park there. They'll set up camp, and they'll be there for 2 weeks. And then once they come to the end of the 2 weeks, they leave, and on their way to the next destination, they stop by a Walmart or by a grocery store, get some more supplies, food, things like that, and then they arrive to the next state park or national forest or public land, and they camp there for 2 weeks. And it's kind of like it's a perpetual process. And by living like that, you can see some beautiful places all across the U.S. Many people say, they wish they can have wish they can, have that type of experience, and unfortunately, people wait till they retire to actually live that way. But the reality is, you don't have to wait until you're 67 or 68 to start really seeing your country. Really start seeing nature's beauty. You can start living that way now, if that's your thing. It's not for everybody. You have to decide if you want this to be a chapter in your life. I certainly do. I'm a nomad at heart. I'm gonna always do this. This is a new nomadic lifestyle for me, but any type of nomadic lifestyle, I take great interest, and I will probably try it out at some point in my life. So yeah. Other than that, I think the only thing I'm trying to think, what else maybe I will be exposed to that probably is like a vehicle breakdown, and where that obviously by living in a travel trailer, I know that the things I like, the things I don't like, the concerns obviously. But like if the tow vehicle broke down, that would be a challenge obviously. I would have to. It's good to have AAA to be able to allow you to continue on the road. You know, I mean, there's things you can mitigate. You know, make sure your tires are inflated. Make sure your tires are in good condition, so you can avoid these things. But having AAA, I think that's a good investment to have. Um, and I'm just really going off of what I've learned from other people. You know, from people who have done it longer than I have. I'm not an expert RVer by any means. I have, besides this experience living here, you know, demoing this travel trailer, I don't have any experience. Well, that's not true. When I was in England, I actually lived in the travel trailer for a little while, but that was actually much smaller than this one. And wow, it was like, I think that one was probably about 17 feet, something like that. That was small. So it definitely gave me some perspective on what my comfort level is. But this is day 4, so tomorrow is going to be the final video, and I hope this video inspires you, gives you some perspective. Perhaps this is what your finish line may look like. You know, maybe this is what, maybe reaching your finish line is obtaining this, arriving to a lifestyle like this. Or maybe it's the previous lifestyle I was living in, where I was living in multiple countries via Airbnb short-term rentals. Maybe it's that. Maybe you want to, you know, see multiple countries. Maybe you want to stay in a country every 3 to 6 months, or a country every year. Maybe you want to stay within the U.S. and just live in a lot of big cities, and, you know, go from, I don't know, you go from Boston to Atlanta to Tampa to New Orleans to Denver. You know, maybe you want to kind of be a nomad within the country. I mean, there's different types of nomadic lifestyles. And as I talked about in the last video, some people, maybe the finish line is the American dream, the traditional white picket fence. You know, maybe, you know, have a nice car that you can show off. Maybe that's the finish line for you. Everyone's finish line is different, you know, but the intention of my brand, reachingthefishline.com, is to help you get there.